Public Information Officer. It's SCOTT-STEPHENS. Thank you, members of the media, for coming this morning. We are here today to provide an update on the investigation into the shooting of MetroBus driver Jonathan Cobb. The shooting occurred on Friday, December 3rd around 7:10 p.m. while Mr. Cobb was driving his bus north on Lucas and Hunt Road. On December 6th, a person of interest was taken into custody by Major Case Squad investigators and was initially charged with a weapons violation and resisting arrest. Today we'll be discussing the investigation and additional charges. Standing with me this morning are Lieutenant Tim Berger, the Deputy Commander of the Greater St. Louis Major Case Squad, Chief John Buchanan, the North County Police Cooperative, Major Ron Martin of the North County Police Cooperative, Chief Rick Knox, the Executive Director of the Major Case Squad, Major Steve Runge from the Berkeley Police Department, Sam Alton, the Chief of Staff of the St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, Mayor Epson from Pine Lawn, Mayor Jackson from the City of Beverly Hills, Mayor McGee from Veneta Park, and Talby Roach, the President and CEO of Bi-State Development. I'm going to let Deputy Commander Berger update you on where this investigation stands today.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Lieutenant Timothy Berger. On December 3rd, the Major Case Squad was activated to investigate a shooting due to the severe injury of the driver. It's occurred in the 3400 block of Lucas and Hunt at about 7:10 p.m. in the city of Beverly Hills, Missouri. The bus driver, Jonathan Cobb, sustained life-altering injuries. And as a result of the actions of the suspect in this case, our prayers and our thoughts are with the family and friends of Mr. Cobb. He's going to have a long recovery, and the family will have to endure with this process ahead. The Major Case Squad activated 19 members to investigate this crime. Early in the investigation, it was determined that a second shooting had occurred in the city of Berkeley, and that it was directly related to this incident. Detectives worked tirelessly to develop leads and conduct the investigation in a professional manner. Through the hard work of the Major Case Squad detectives, evidence was located that identified and ultimately connected the suspect to both of these incidents. I want to thank all the detectives, the crime scene unit investigators, the laboratory scientists, everyone who assisted in this investigation. The success of the investigation was possible through the coordination of efforts of numerous police departments. I want to thank Metro Transit and Bi-State Development for their assistance and cooperation. I especially want to thank the St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney's Office for their assistance and decision to issue the charges we're here to announce today. Finally, I want to thank the North County Police Cooperative for their assistance in the investigation and providing all the necessary support able to facilitate the successful conclusion of this case. Thank you.
At this time, we'd like to ask Mr. Alton from the St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney's Office to read a statement.
Hey, everyone. My name is Sam Alton. I'm the Chief of Staff for the St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. And on behalf of Prosecutor Bell, who's out of town at a conference, we're here to discuss the charges that have been issued in this case and then answer any questions that you might have afterwards. And Mr. Bell will make himself available for press conferences or interviews throughout the day, as was issued in our release earlier this morning. Let me start by saying that on behalf of Mr. Bell and our office, our prayers go out to the victims in this case and certainly go out to Mr. Cobb, his daughters, his family members, his loved ones, and to anyone that was riding on either of the buses that were shot at by the defendant. Specifically, we're talking about an incident that occurred, or incidents that occurred on the evening of December 3rd, 2021. Two shootings that occur that evening, one at a MetroBus at North Hanley Road, near Airport Road. Minutes later, another MetroBus near the intersection of Lucas and Hunt Road in Henderson. Both buses had evening commuters at the time. With respect to the second shooting, Mr. Cobb was shot and seriously injured. The Major Case Squad immediately mobilized, and in reviewing video, they became aware that a maroon PT Cruiser was at the scene of both shootings. The major case squad started patrolling the area, and as a result, I'm going to read to you the probable cause statement that we issued with respect to the initial 2 charges against the defendant in this case. This PC statement was filed on December 7, 2021. The defendant, who is a convicted felon, is observed by officers in his front yard of his mother's home with an AR-15 style rifle and with the subject PT Cruiser. He appeared to be loading or unloading the rifle and otherwise manipulating it. Officers, knowing that the defendant was armed, attempted to stop the defendant after he left his mother's home. Officers were in marked patrol vehicles. When the officers attempted to stop the defendant, he reversed his car and slammed into a vehicle occupied by 2 detectives. This car had its patrol lights illuminated. The defendant then attempted to drive on the sidewalk to get away, but his vehicle was disabled. The defendant continued to resist officers' attempts to take him into custody. The defendant attempted to access the backseat of the car while officers were arresting him. In the backseat of the car, under the seat, was an AR-15 rifle in the same configuration as the officers had observed at the defendant's mother's house. The defendant has been convicted of a felony, unlawful possession of a firearm, and felony possession of a controlled substance. As a result, we initially filed charges against the defendant on December 7th, 1 count, unlawful use of a weapon, a felon in possession, and count 2, resisting arrest, fleeing, risk of serious injuries, both felonies. The major case squad continued their investigation, and as part of that investigation, obtained search warrants, and they were able to uncover ballistics matched the rifle recovered from the defendant's vehicle to the bullet found at the scene of the second shooting. As a result, I'm going to read to you the PC statements that were filed by our office this morning with the additional charges against the defendant. The first probable cause statement reads as to bus number 1 on December 3rd, 2021, at or near North Hanley and Airport Road at approximately 7 p.m. The defendant drove a PT Cruiser past Metro Transit Bus 6607 and fired a weapon at the bus as the bus traveled on North Hanley Road near Airport Road while the bus was transporting evening commuters. As a result, we issued 9 charges, including 6 counts of assault in the 4th degree, 1 count of unlawful use of a weapon, a B felony, and 1 count of armed criminal action. As to the second probable cause statement, which was filed minutes later, the PT Cruiser drove past Metro Transit Bus 3811 as the bus traveled northbound on Lucas and Hunt Road near the intersection of Lucas and Hunt Road and Henderson Road. And as the PT Cruiser drove past Bus 3811, the defendant shot a firearm at the bus, striking the driver of the bus, Mr. Cobb, and causing him catastrophic injuries. With the driver injured, Bus 3811, carrying evening commuters, crossed over the center line, traveled onto oncoming traffic, struck oncoming vehicles, and ultimately crashed into a utility pole, coming to rest on the opposite side of Lucas and Hunt Road. As a result, and in association with that second probable cause statement, we issued an additional 9 counts, including 1 count of assault in the 1st degree, attempt to cause serious physical injury, and a felony, 2 counts of armed criminal action, 1 count unlawful use of a weapon, and 5 additional counts of assault in the 4th degree with respect to the passengers that were on that bus. We understand Mr. Cobb's medical condition, thank goodness, is improving, albeit slightly, and our office is extremely grateful for that. To his family and his children, we want to say that we are going to do everything we can to make sure that there's justice in this case, and we want to acknowledge the statements that you made the other day, how important and how brave that was, and how that assisted in terms of processing this case and working this case not only for law enforcement and with respect to our office. We want to acknowledge the hard work of Chief Rick Knox and the Major Case Squad and all the detectives that helped our office work on this case. I know Mayor McGee and Mayor Jackson are behind me. This doesn't happen. We're not able to get to this point of this case unless we all continue to work together and cooperate, which is exactly what was done here. And additionally, we want to acknowledge the hard work by the prosecutors in our office. They worked late, and everybody got this done. At the end, we'll be available for some questions, but thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Alton. We've been in constant contact with Metro since this began, and I believe that their cooperation has been extremely helpful. Mr. Roach, do you have a comment?
Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Just cannot thank the Major Case Squad enough for their tremendous work. Chief Knox, thank you to you and your team. What a tremendous moment of police work. What this moment about, though, is about solidarity. Solidarity of uniforms. Whether you have an M on your chest and you drive a MetroBus, or whether you wear a uniform of our law enforcement partners, in order to make a community, we need that solidarity to make a difference. And today, I believe, a difference was made. I also want to thank the strength of Prosecutor Bell's office. Our operators can go out today knowing that we have a strong prosecutor's office willing to get their back. I also just cannot help but thank the Cobb family and, of course, Jonathan's incredible struggle. What a brave young man who's still fighting. Let's remember not only Jonathan, but also those folks who are still out there fighting for not only life, but for community. I'm humbled by this effort. I'm humbled that we have these leaders behind all of us supporting the strength of community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roach. Finally, on behalf of the Major Case Squad, we would like to thank the family and friends of Mr. Cobb, Metro Transit, the St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, and most importantly, the public for their help in bringing this case to its point today. We will have copies of the charging documents available following the conference. If you wish to ask any questions, please speak loudly so everybody can hear, and if you would, please state your name and the organization that you're with. Are there any questions? Ms. Berger?
No, the suspect did not make any statement in regards to this incident.
Me and Brandon Real SEO News. Is there any question in reference to the mental stability of the suspect, or does he have a history of mental challenges?
I don't have that information. That'll be something that will come forward in the future.
Question, Russell Kim's on camera. Be question for Mr. Alton. Were these just random shots at buses? Was he targeting bus drivers specifically? Did he have a beef with bus drivers? Did he get kicked off at some point? Do you have any idea why he was doing this?
Well, that's all going to play itself out, right, as we proceed. What we do know is that, beyond a reasonable doubt, that the evidence that we have supports the charges that we brought. Everything else related to this case will play itself out as the case proceeds. We went with the evidence that we got and we charged what we did, and that's where we're at.
So yes, thank you for that question. So of course, supporting our operators and the Cobb family, that's part of what we need to do as Metro Transit as a family. We've provided, and just a very simplest of basic needs right now in providing transportation here, and of course some support at the emergency room. I just want to express my gratitude to this strong family, and look, we're struggling now. And we're doing everything we can to help each other. So we'll be doing that. In addition to that, if I will, we are providing counselors on site to our workforce at both Bolivar and Brentwood. Our operators, they're having a hard time right now, and they need to be supported. And I represent them, and we're doing our best to do that. And I would appreciate the public's recognition of their work, and that they're out there serving the public right now. It's a laudable and important job, but we're doing our best to do that.
Mr. Roach, could you speak to how many bus drivers fear for their safety at the site of the station?
So we've struggled to get service out. Certainly we have had some call-offs, especially on Saturday and Sunday. But one of the reasons for being here is to try to reassure those drivers. We still need to move St. Louis. We still need to get folks to grocery stores and to hospitals. And it's our frontline workers who do that. So reassuring them with these uniforms and with a strong prosecutor's office and being sure that we're going to do everything we can, including that I'm going to do everything I can, and as is our Board of Commissioners, to get our operators' backs. So we're doing our best to get that service out. We've certainly struggled, especially on Saturday and Sunday. It has gotten a little better every day, as hopefully we've reassured our drivers. We were able to get our fundamental service out this morning, but I want to be real, we are struggling.
Pulling from a KSDK, is there any indication how this suspect, who you said is a felon, got in possession of an AR-15?
We don't know that at this point. We're conducting an investigation into that, tracing the firearm, but we don't know at this point how he was in possession of it. What we do know is that he was not allowed to be in possession of it.
Ryan Kelly was paying Molex. What was his background? What was his previous felony or felonies?
I believe that it was a 2014 felony out of the city involving unlawful use of a weapon and a drug possession charge.
Will you be working with the Fed to try to track where he got that weapon from?
I'll put it to you this way. Mr. Bell's office is going to work with every aspect of law enforcement, whether it's the Major Case Squad, whether it's the mayors, whether it's the North County Cooperative, whether it's the U.S. Attorney's Office or the FBI, to try and track down how this crime occurred, how this weapon occurred with this individual, and how to try to stop it in the future. So yes.
Second Amendment Preservation Act get in the way of any of that?
I'm not going to talk about that today. That's a discussion for a different day.
Could you comment on the AR-15? Was that the only weapon that he found in possession? Ballistics indicate that was the weapon used to fire on the buses?
Is it the only weapon?
Well, the ballistics do indicate that was the weapon that was used to fire. At this time, I believe it's the only weapon that we know of that was found to be in possession of the defendant at this time.
Charles Abdul-Ali with Real STL News. Did you find any information or evidence that the defendant worked alone, or you worked with someone and you're still looking for someone else to show up?
All indications, all of the evidence that we've recovered, video evidence, everything, we're relying on the fact that he acted alone. We have no reason or no other suspects or continued investigation looking for anyone else at this time.
We'll take one final question, if there are any.
Toby, how can what can Metro do to further protect riders? This is such a random incident. What can you do to further protect riders and drivers on your buses?
Well, first of all, we can strengthen these kind of partnerships that we're representing today. This is a unified effort to look at fundamental public safety, and it includes the uniforms of Metro and includes the uniforms of our law enforcement officers. But Mr. Kelly will also look into additional polycarbonate barriers to be sure that operators are safe in their seats. Are there measures that we can take with just the physical security associated with our buses? And also we announced that we are adding, on authorization of my Board of Commissioners, 10 transit security specialists who will be dedicated to the bus line to be out there, show more presence. A lot of this is about that fundamental presence, showing that we care and that we are there and available in our environments to be sure that we are taking every action that we can.
To you in the media, thank you for being here with us today. Thank you for being with us here all week. We really appreciate your support of the Major Case Squad and our efforts in this investigation. That does conclude our conference today. To reach out, there is charging documents that I'll have available towards the back of the room. Thank you.